To the In a Nutshell with Almond, the weekly show giving you the update from Hong Kong, giving you the update of Hong Kong news. And I'm Almond Lee. I'm a journalist based in Hong Kong, so thank you so much for joining. So for those who are following, we changed the schedule this week, but it's still okay. Thank you so much for joining. And so this week I want to talk about press freedom. We've been talking about this topic for quite some time, and also it's been a frequent topic on the show today, for this show. And this week I want to highlight there was an arrest of a reporter in Hong Kong, and she was arrested for giving so-called false statement because she applied for accessing public records. Public information, and it was a very controversial move by police, especially for those pro-democracy activists have been criticizing the move of her arrest. There are also different politicians and also activists saying that the arrest of a reporter was an act to basically quashing press freedom. And so one of the reasons why her arrest is also so controversial is that the information, the public records that she was trying to get access to, was the Yuen Long attack. So for those who have been following the past few weeks, one of the episodes we've talked about the Yuen Long attack, the mob attacks, where a bunch of weapon-carrying men basically indiscriminately attacked passengers on train stations, and nobody have. There are only several people who have been arrested and prosecuted, but none of them have been convicted so far. And those, just for those who are interested in knowing what happened during that Yuen Long attack, you can just go on YouTube or Google, just search Yuen Long attack, YUENLONG, an attack in Hong Kong, and you'll probably see multiple footage of the indiscriminate attack on citizens on a train station platform. And so this reporter, she has produced this documentary type of program, and she was basically building a timeline of what happened that night, and then how the police failed to show up, or rather they were in the neighborhood already and seeing weapon-carrying men, but did nothing to stop or to prevent any violence from happening. And so that documentary looked into how the police failed to protect the citizens, and in that episode, it also looked into, because they go through security camera footage. They go through security camera footage, and there's this Yuen Long attack. That is the name of that place in Hong Kong. So when they go through the CCTV footage, the reporter looked into some of the cars, the vehicles have been driving in that community. So it's basically similar to, I forgot the name, but there was this system in the US as well for journalists who look at public records. Basically, it could be court documents, it could be vehicle registration, it could be, land deeds or something like that. So that is the public records in Hong Kong. And that reporter, she tried to get access to vehicle registration information. Basically, it was the name of the vehicle owner, and the address, something like that. And this reporter, when she tried to get access to those kind of information, she didn't. So basically, in Hong Kong, reporters, if journalists or anybody, basically, if you want to get access to those public records, you need to fill out a form. And when you fill out the form, there'll be basically check boxes to say that what is your purpose of getting this public records. And on that form, on that particular form that reporter has filled, there was no option for her to take, such as news reporting or news writing or something like that. Like no journalistic purposes options were available on that form. So she only talking about like, traffic related issues. That is the purpose of her request. And so she was arrested just earlier this week. She was arrested for giving false statement. So she was arrested for that because she didn't declare, so to speak, that the information that she has obtained was for news reporting or news, for like a news show, for journalism purposes. And so that's why she was arrested. Now she has been released on bail. We don't know what's going to happen to her. Whether she'll be prosecuted, whether there'll be extra charges for her. At this moment, it was just making false statement. But right now, yeah, that's right. That's a current charge that she is facing. But we don't know what's going to happen because we have seen different cases, including those against, cases against pro-democracy activists or protesters. Sometimes the Department of Justice, they would up their charges or increase the charges against those defendants. Some critics have been saying this is just the government or authorities trying to quash people's freedom of speech, freedom of expression, or even freedom of press. And so this journalist arrest, and because the Yuen Long attack was quite a sensitive matter in Hong Kong, and the authority have been avoiding to talk about it, or there was, if you look at the footage online, it's quite fair to say that is an indiscriminate attack on citizen. But later on, the police said that it was a well-matched, basically, fight between two groups of people. But it's really not fair to call it a well-matched fight or brawl, because you could see one group of men with metal pipe or wooden stick beating up just bystanders or passengers on trains, and those passengers, those bystanders, they have no weapon in hand. They don't even have any protective gear, to protect them. They were just in their normal dressing, and they have nothing but their bare hands to fight off those weapon carrying people. And so, yeah. Hello from DR. Thank you so much for joining. And so freedom of press has been quite controversial in Hong Kong right now. There are more signs of the government trying to suppress press freedom. In previous episodes, we have also talked about how the police have changed the definition of media representatives, meaning they are only recognizing journalists from so-called well-known or international, well-established media outlets. In other words, that means digital media who are only quite online presence, or student journalists, they won't be recognized by the police because of a certain requirement. For example, they need to publish 5 days a week, which for those who study journalism or, really student media, it's quite impossible for them to meet those requirements. So we've seen the tightening of media sort of rules or restrictions. I'm seeing some comments there. Yes, I am in somebody's. I am in an indoor place, but I do have someone around me, so I try to protect them from, because I'm constantly speaking, so I don't want my, salivas or anything to get to other people. So I'm trying to protect them as well. But definitely, I understand the concern. But I hope you guys are also hearing it okay. It should be fine, right? The audio. But I apologize for not showing my face this time because I am in indoor settings, but there are different people around me, so I don't really want to affect them. I want to protect them from, the COVID-19 for sure. So thank you for understanding. And other updates I want to give you guys this week on Hong Kong situation. Also speaking about COVID-19. Yes, audio is great. Thank you so much for letting me know. So the other update is that one of the flagship carrier in Hong Kong, the flight carrier, it's called Cathay Pacific. They are laying off thousands of people in Hong Kong because of one is because the travel industry has been and the aviation industry has been hit very hard by COVID-19. That's not unique in Hong Kong. That is, it's a global problem, a global phenomenon right now because of COVID, and travel industry has been very severely impacted. So the flight company has to undergo some restructuring, and they are laying off thousands of people. I think 6,000 in Hong Kong, and including some 2,000 overseas. And there's been this really tense negotiation between the labor unions and also the company's management, because after they laid off thousands of people, there's some crew members or pilots that they're retaining, but they are renewing their contract. They're changing the terms of the contract to slash even more than half of their salary that they used to receive. And so there's been really tense negotiation between the labor unions. They're trying to get the company to, or at least make the salary cut a temporary measure rather than a permanent measure, because once COVID is done, or once we get a better control or get vaccines for COVID-19, then basically the travel industry and the aviation industry could resume and possibly revive. For sure, everybody's dying to travel right now. Including me. I haven't been travel for a very long time, and of course, it's a very hard thing for many people. Especially those who are very used to traveling. Either for business or just for vacations. It's very hard. So, looking at some comments. A throw-in color, no problem. I'm sorry for asking. No worries. Definitely, for sure. Being on air, I love to show my face too, but just safety precautions. I don't want to risk other people as well. So thank you so much again for understanding. So yeah, this is a quick update on what is going on in Hong Kong, political wise and also COVID-19 wise. We're seeing a little bit of resurgence of COVID-19 cases in Hong Kong, but so far it's still okay. We don't have like a big local outbreak in Hong Kong. We do have some sporadic cases here and there, once, a few times a week. Most cases that we have in the recent 1 or 2 weeks are all imported cases. But the government is also talking about reviving some traveling between Hong Kong and different countries or different places, and Singapore is one of them. The Hong Kong government is thinking about setting up this travel bubble, sort of like a travel bubble between Australia and New Zealand, where people can get can be exempted from those mandatory like 2-week quarantine, like when you travel to other country, and so people could just, they could skip the 2-week quarantine when they travel to Singapore, from Hong Kong to Singapore, or vice versa. But given that there's no clear timeline when this travel bubble will be actually set up, but as somebody, some of the concerns is that once we develop this travel bubble, start this travel bubble, there will be more cases coming into Hong Kong because of the exemption of mandatory quarantine. So there's some worries, but the travel industry, so many travel agencies have applauded this initiative, even though it's not a done deal yet. It's still, in the progress of planning. It's a work in progress, so it hasn't been officially launched yet, but that is something that the Hong Kong government is working with the Singaporean government. So everybody's asking, why do I have a mask on? Because I am indoor, but I'm surrounded by different other peoples as well, so I try to protect them by not having all my saliva while I was talking to just get on them. And I don't want, even though I believe I'm not positive for COVID-19, I'm feeling healthy and well, but just precaution. I don't want to put other people at risk as well. So that is why I have a mask on. And I guess this also serves as a very good reminder, if you're going out, if you're hanging out with friends, just remember to take all those safety precautions as well. So yeah, protect yourself and also protect others, especially your loved ones. Why has no one died of the flu this year? I'm sure there have been deaths related to the winter flu. I'm not aware of that in Hong Kong as of now. But I think there are some deaths in other countries, probably the US. But I get this point too. Since COVID is so prominent, and sometimes, and we have talked about how COVID and the flu, whether that's the winter flu or the flu in other seasons, the symptoms have been quite similar. But of course, we know that COVID-19 is more serious and it's more contagious than flu. But I guess when COVID-19, when the pandemic is so prominent, it's really hard to know, I suppose. I'm not a doctor. I can't say for sure, but it could be easy to mix up like the symptoms between COVID-19 and just a flu, So yeah, that's pretty much the update for sure. Press freedom, that's something that we've been constantly covering, and also COVID-19, that's that has been the news every day for sure, not only in Hong Kong, for other countries and areas as well. So yeah, I'm so excited to give you guys more update next week. We'll see what happens. I guess one thing that maybe it's interesting to cover is that the US election and how it could affect, now that Biden is announced to be the president-elect, and also Kamala Harris being the vice president-elect, how could that affect, Hong Kong protests or social movement, given that a lot of, just an interesting insight, actually a lot of people in Hong Kong do support Donald Trump to be re-elected because of the type of rhetoric or pressure that he has been giving China. We're not sure what's going to happen with the Biden administration, but we'll see. But there are quite some divided opinion in Hong Kong as to who should be the next president, or how would the next president affect Hong Kong or just China in general. How would that political tension play out? So yeah, I mean, definitely that's something that I think it would be interesting to cover. You guys let me know if that's something that would interest you guys as well. So feel free to leave the comment on the stream, or just DM me. You can find me on social media. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook. So make sure you follow me if you like your updates from Hong Kong. That's everyone sometimes, especially after the social protests last year, many eyes are on Hong Kong as well. So remember to follow me on HEPS and other social media. Subscribe and sponsor me if you like my news reporting from Hong Kong. And I will see you next week again. Thank you so much. Bye.